June 23, 1985, Air India Flight 182 suddenly disappears from the radar. Investigation reveals that when the plane was flying at an altitude of 31,000 feet over the Pacific Ocean, there was an explosion, resulting in the death of all 329 people on board. Now, a sudden explosion of the plane was not a common occurrence. And it didn't take long to find out that it wasn't an accident but a conspiracy, a bombing orchestrated by the Babur Khalsa terrorist group. But planting a bomb on the plane seemed like an impossible task. Air India Flight 182 became the victim of a tragic incident. Suddenly, 329 innocent people met an untimely death. Stay with us to learn about this shameful and painful incident in human history. Friends, the story of planting this bomb begins in 1970 when a man named Talwinder Singh Parmar travels from India to Vancouver. There, he establishes the foundation of the Babur Khalsa organization. The main goal of this organization was to create the Khalistan state out of the Punjab state and seek revenge from the Indian government for Operation Blue Star. A year before installing the bomb, Talwinder Singh Parmar met Indrajit Singh in Vancouver, who was a professional mechanic. However, along with his profession, Singh also knew how to make bombs. Parmar asks him to make a bomb. Now, since Indrajit was also an activist in Babur Khalsa, he readily agrees to the task. After this, Parmar was in search of someone who could plant the bomb on the flight. For this, he contacts a French-Canadian criminal and offers him $2 million Canadian to plant the bomb. However, the man rejects Parmar's offer due to the perceived risks involved. Afterward, Parmar assigns the task to another individual, although the identity of this individual remains a puzzle till today. Time passes, and the year 1985 arrives. Based on intelligence from the Indian government, Canada is warned about a potential terrorist attack. Subsequently, Canadian authorities keep a close eye on every move of Talwinder Singh Parmar. Meanwhile, on the other side, Indrajit is assembling bomb components. He purchases a car battery and a 12-volt lantern battery from Colombia, installs them with dynamite, and continues his preparations. Afterward, Indrajit spends time in the jungle because he needs to test his bomb there. Seizing the right moment, he tests the bomb, and it is successful, meaning the bomb was ready. And now it was time to install it on the flight. For this, on June 20, 1985, two separate flights were booked from Vancouver. The first flight is scheduled to travel from Vancouver to Toronto, then Toronto to London, and finally to Delhi. The second one is set to travel from Vancouver to Tokyo and then to Delhi via Bangkok. Both these flights are booked under different names. On June 23rd, the first one from Vancouver is booked as Canadian Pacific Flight 003, headed for Tokyo. This flight was the connecting flight for Air India Flight 301 in Tokyo. At the same time, the second booking was made for Canadian Pacific Flight 086, which was set to depart from Vancouver to Toronto. The bomb sent on this flight was intended to transfer to Air India Flight 181, which was scheduled to travel from Toronto to Delhi. After Toronto, the next stop for this flight was London, from where it was supposed to take off for Delhi under the name Flight 182. A ticket is booked in business class under the name Mr. Mohinderbal Singh for the person who intended to plant the bomb on this flight. The actual person who made this booking remains unknown to this day. Yes, but during the investigation, it was discovered that the booking was made through a travel agent. However, even the travel agent was unaware of the actual identity of the person. Anyway, according to the plan, on June 22, 1985, Mr. M. Singh arrived at Vancouver Airport, where he asked the staff to check in his luggage. Since it was a busy Saturday at the airport, Mr. M. Singh's ticket was not confirmed on that day. This meant he could only be allowed on the flight if seats were available. Although he had the option to shift to the second flight, Mr. M. Singh was not prepared for this. The reason was clear because this was the only flight connected to Air India Flight 182 coming to India. Refusing to check in his luggage, M. Singh argues with Air India employee, Jeannie Adams, at the ticket counter. He even threatens to drag her to court, causing Jeannie to be a bit frightened. And because they were business class clients, she decided to check in their luggage. When the goods are loaded onto the plane via the cargo bus, they should have undergone X-ray screening. However, coincidentally, there was no X-ray machine at Vancouver Airport at that time. Therefore, the goods are loaded directly onto the airplane without X-ray screening. After this, the flight departs for Toronto. As soon as Mr. Singh's luggage is loaded onto the flight and the plane departs for Toronto, Mr. Singh leaves the airport and is never seen again. Canadian Pacific Flight 086 was long and non-stop. It arrives in Toronto at 4:22 p.m. in the evening. Here, the luggage is transferred to its second connecting flight, Air India Flight 181. In this luggage was also Mr. Singh's bag, in which the bomb was planted. Before shifting the goods to the second flight, all luggage in Toronto should be scanned. However, another coincidence occurs here, and that is, on that day, after 4 p.m., their X-ray machine suddenly malfunctions. Now, due to this, the luggage is scanned using another device called the portable PDD for explosive sniffer. When Mr. Singh's luggage is being scanned, at that moment, the scanning device emits a small beep sound. However, because the worker there was not briefed on the meaning of this beep sound, he ignored it and allowed the luggage to be directly transferred to the flight. The luggage that came from the Canadian Pacific flight on this flight is stored in the left side of the front part of Air India Flight 181. From here, the flight takes off from Montreal, reaching its destination around 9 p.m. Here, it becomes Air India Flight 182, also known as Emperor Kanishk. From here, the flight makes its final takeoff around 10 p.m. and departs for Delhi. At this time, the plane had 307 passengers, 22 crew members, and 2 pilots, Hansa Singh Narendra and Captain Satwinder Singh Binder, along with flight engineer Dara Damasia. During this time, the second bag, checked in under the name Jaswant Singh, from Vancouver to Tokyo, arrives at Tokyo's Narita International Airport. Upon arriving here, it was supposed to be checked in again on Air India Flight 301. However, before the check-in, the bomb placed in the luggage explodes. And in this explosion, the lives of the 2 workers who were handling the luggage were lost. Friends, when this incident happened in Tokyo, Air India Flight 182 had already departed for Delhi, and they had no information about this tragedy. According to the local time in Ireland, at 8:09 a.m., the crew of Flight 182 had their last conversation with Shannon Airport Air Traffic Control. However, after this, their connection with the flight is abruptly lost, because the bomb planted in the plane explodes. However, the ATC was not aware that there was a blast in the flight. They assumed that maybe the flight has gone off the radar, so they repeatedly tried to communicate with Air India's crew for quite some time. However, when no response is received for a long time, and the radar fails to locate the flight, they dispatch a ship to the location in the Pacific Ocean where the flight was last in contact. When the ship reaches this location, it discovers debris from the aircraft in the water, as well as floating bodies, toys, and clothing. After that, the rescue operation began, and out of a total of 329 people, only 142 dead bodies were recovered from the sea. Where did the remaining dead bodies go? No one knows. Looking at the wreckage of the plane, it was evident that a major explosion had occurred. However, the fact that a bomb caused this explosion went unnoticed initially. The incident at the altitude of 31,000 feet leaves the investigating officers perplexed. However, their concern intensifies when they come across a recording obtained through frequency interception. In this recording, there is a faint sound resembling a blast. Due to the excessive noise, it is challenging to conclusively determine whether an explosion occurred or not. In addition, the dead bodies recovered from the sea are sent for post-mortem to understand what happened to them. Doctors in the post-mortem report revealed that for most of them, death occurred at an altitude of 31,000 feet. Since some people's bones were completely shattered, it was clear that a significant blast had occurred on the plane. Now, to know what happened with this flight, only the black box could tell. It was buried underwater at a depth of 6,500 feet along with the wreckage. However, on July 26, the black box is brought up from the sea. By decoding the recordings and conversations inside this box, the investigation agency finds out that everything on the flight was normal until some time before the blast occurred. So, based on all the evidence the investigating team had gathered, there were two possible conclusions. First, the blast might have occurred due to some mechanical fault in the plane. And second, it could be possible that a bomb was planted on the plane. After some time and with no evidence of any mechanical fault found, it was confirmed that the blast on Air India Flight 182 was indeed caused by a bomb. After linking the bomb blast on Air India Flight 182 with the blast in Tokyo and finding several similarities between the two incidents, the police raided the home of Talwinder Singh Parmar in Vancouver. However, by that time, he had already fled from there. After managing to evade authorities for some time, he somehow returned to India, where he was killed by Punjab police in a shootout in 1992. Now, only Indrajit, the one who had made the bomb, is left. He also flees and goes to the United Kingdom. However, after some time, he was apprehended, and Canadian authorities sentenced him to 10 years in prison. Afterward, during the year 2001, murder charges were also filed against Indrajit in India, and he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. However, in 2016, he somehow got released from prison. People believe that he still shows no remorse for his actions today. Moreover, several people were arrested in Canada in connection with this incident. However, due to a lack of substantial evidence, the police are compelled to release them. Certainly, while creating this case study, my mind is getting overwhelmed, and I can't comprehend how someone can do such a thing. Now, in this entire incident, who would you consider responsible? The Canadian government, which ignored security even after India's warning? Or the airport authority, which didn't properly check the luggage? What are your thoughts on this event? Please share in the comments section. If you liked our video, please encourage us by clicking on the subscribe button to see more such new videos. We are grateful to you for your kind cooperation.